Hey, Pepin.
Yo, yo.
We've had a couple episodes on Death Note. I still want to talk about it. How about this time we go a little more lighthearted? We teased it last time, and then I fucked us up.
And we're going to avoid the terrible pun as well.
Okay, we'll keep this pretty light.
We need... Fuck you!
Welcome back. My name is Meader, and I'll be your host today on this comedy variety hour. I have with me my trusty co-host and engineer, Nathan Pepin. How are you, Pepin?
Yo, yo. I am well.
Loose as a goose?
And light as a feather.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah, light as... No.
We also have here my brother. You've heard him once or twice or three times before. His name is Nick. How goes it, Nick?
Yep.
Fantastic. So, we really want to take... there were a lot of, Okay, Death Note's a pretty serious show to me because it's my favorite. And it does have some really, it has some dark themes. It has some heavy themes. It's very cerebral. But it also has some really funny stuff and some really out-of-place, almost plot-holey stuff. And I want to focus this episode kind of around that aspect. Bring up some of the more funny things and keep this one a little more jovial.
Now, one thing I've brought up before, I'm just going to mention it one more time, is Matsuri. Or
Matsuda?
Matsuda. Matsuda. And how, when he's the manager of Misa, he always says, Misa, Misa! Super energetic, and it doesn't make... I don't know. I never thought I'd love that character so much, but every time he said it, this makes me happy.
Enough with that Misa crap! This is the Cure investigation! Yeah, he is pretty funny with that. And then when Mogi has to do this, has to be the manager, and he has to go out of his comfort zone and be hyper energetic. That part's actually pretty funny too.
'Tis.
I got a kind of a serious question. I know we said that this episode was going to be a little more lighthearted, but I kind of need to know this specifically. Did L die a virgin?
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely.
You don't think he ever had sex with anybody?
Okay, so this is my theory. I think he never had someone to love. I think if he had sex, it was with a prostitute. Because I don't think he had time for, having sex with, people who he was in a relationship with. He was always busy working. He was always dedicated to the case. And you ever seem ever relaxing in the show?
I think he was juggling so many cases at once, too. This wasn't the only case he was doing. In the beginning, obviously after he realized how in-depth this case was going to be, it became the only one he focused on. But it's very evident that before this he was working on a lot of cases at a time, so he was probably just completely a workaholic and never had time for a relationship, so I would say he probably definitely died without having sex.
So he fucked prostitutes?
Not necessarily. He might have been too busy.
I think he fucked prostitutes.
I don't.
Because he obviously had sexual urges, because he does things all the time in reference to Misa specifically. That, he's sexually interested in her.
When?
There was a scene where they're in the hotel together. Or, not the hotel, but the giant kind of building they erected. And...
Erected.
Well, yeah. And it was L, Light, and... Yeah, L and Light were handcuffed together. And, Misa is, visiting Light, of course. And L was getting all jealous and stuff. And what was the quote that he said exactly?
When Misa comes over and gives him a hug or a kiss on the cheek or whatever, and he's like, I could see myself falling for you.
I could actually fall for you.
Yeah, and she's like, well, let's not go that far, but we could be friends.
My friends have increased.
And then they all hold hands and ring around the rosy, and she's like, let's all be friends together.
And Light looks so mad about it.
And then Elle's like, Yay, friends.
Yay,
That's one of my favorite parts of the whole show.
I still don't see how that's him sexually attracted to Misa though.
No, there's another there's another part where they're watching TV while what's his name the Kira that L and Light are trying to catch. Higochi. When Higochi is going to the station and they're watching the fake show, and then there's a commercial that comes on, and it's for Misa's lipstick.
Yeah, and she's ridiculous.
And he's like, like licking his lips, and then he grabs a banana peel in his teeth and like pulls it, like he's like sexually frustrated, like ripping at it. Like that whole part is him being like sexually like all over Misa.
Maybe it's a banana for a reason though.
Well, Misa's in the show, at least, she's very attractive, and I assume that L is heterosexual, at least, maybe bisexual, if anything. And so I could see me attracted to Misa. I mean, she's a model, for God's sakes.
So there's a part when they're looking at the footage of Ray Penber, and they're all wicked tired, and Watari is scooping them ice cream, and then at the end of that scene, it just shows Watari sitting at the computer with an ice cream cone, and then he just goes, "Oh," and like licks it once, and then it cuts. And for some reason, that part makes me laugh every single time. He's just like,
It's nice to see these characters like out of their usual element. I mean, we're gonna have to bring this up eventually. We're gonna sit on it. The epic moment of greatness that became the show. It literally made the show for me. I've seen this clip so many times, and I will watch it forever. But we're gonna save that for a little bit because that's the finale.
Okay, so there's another part where Ryuk is commenting that Light must get a lot of ladies because he's so good looking, and then Light fires back like insulting Ryuk, and he's like, "Oh well, I bet you're not very popular with the ladies then." Like
Ryuk's
saying
like,
Ryuk's
what?
ugly, and Ryuk's like, "Oh." That part's real.
Ryuk's like, yeah, but how'd you know?
After Light gives the a commencement speech or whatever, the opening day speech at the college, L comes up and he does his speech, and like he's reading like a wicked generic, like he's saying a wicked generic speech, and like holding the paper all weird and like staring at it, and then it shows a shot of the paper itself, and it's completely blank. Like he's just making up this speech off the top of his head and just saying the most generic things that he can think of, and then he ends it with, "And I'm Hideki Ryuga." Like, I'm Hideki Ryuga giving a speech, or like something like that. Like it's really funny.
Oh my god, it reminds me of when he was just messing with L. No, sorry, L was messing with the Light that one time with the cell phone. And I forget what he did exactly, like switch the cell phone or something, and then he tries to call Misa, and then he finds out he's like, "Oh, where's the phone?" And it starts ringing in his pockets, like, "Oh shit!" And it was just like awesome messing with him.
Yeah, when he answers phone, he's like, "Hello," and Light's like, "That's Misa's phone," and he's like, "Oh." Actually, right before that happens, that whole scene's funny because right before that happens, he pickpockets it off of Misa.
Touches her butt.
And to do so, in doing so, he touches her butt, and she's like, "Oh my god, she actually laughs, she's like, "Somebody just touched my butt," and he's like, "Whoever it is, I'm gonna bring him to justice." And then she laughs, and she's like, "Oh, Ryuga, you're so funny." And then the crowd starts laughing, and then you hear a voice like, "Haha, I want to touch your butt too." That whole scene is just absolutely perfect.
Well, there's also the tennis scene in there as well, and that scene was so seriously shot and everything, and it was just you can see it's me maybe drawing a metaphor that they're really going at it, but they're also playing tennis, and they're fucking dead serious about it. They're like, "Oh my god," the shots are crazy, and they're on the top of their game. It's weird.
They're professionals.
That whole scene realistically is so inconsequential because it proves nothing.
It's
and it
completely
gets nowhere.
pointless.
But you're right. They shoot it like it's the most pivotal scene and it's gonna change everything, and it ends up meaning nothing. It means so little. And both of them acknowledge during the scene that it means nothing. He's like, this game alone will not tell me if you are Kira or not. And he's like, if I try to win, will he think I'm Kira or will he not think I'm Kira?
There's no
well,
way
everybody
he can
wants to
profile
win.
me.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, the whole thing is absolutely pointless.
Maybe it's trying to show like maybe they're competitive with each other or something. But even then, it's kind of like I think it's just kind of funny, you know.
It is, and I think it helps. It really draws a big parallel between the two of them. Shows they're both competitive. Shows they're both good at tennis. Blah blah blah.
And they came to the same conclusion.
Exactly, they came to the same conclusion at the end, and Light won, which I think is great foreshadowing for the end.
Yeah.
So we said it was inconsequential. It's really not, but it's so over the top that it really makes it seem kind of comical. My question is, do you guys remember the scene with Misa in the maid outfit singing? What the fuck was that about?
You mean when she's like walking around town?
She's walking around town seeing with her Shinigami eyes everybody's lifespan, like little kid's lifespan, and like she's singing that song.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
And none of the lyrics rhyme, so I assume it's translated from Japanese where it did rhyme. And she's in a maid outfit. And she's just, like, standing around. She's walking around town. She's riding a bus. Like,
I slightly recall this. Is this really happened?
Oh, it really happened. And then the end of the whole show is Misa riding a bus in a maid outfit. It seems so out of place. There must be something, and I hope that people email us, tweet us, text us, visit my house, write me a letter in blood. Like, I want to know what this whole scene is about and what we're overlooking, that maybe it's symbolic or something, but it felt so out of place that it kind of makes me laugh and it kind of creeps me out.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it was just to add like a different dimension to it. Just like they're singing. They can sing.
Here's the musical episode.
Now, kind of a little quirky thing. Well, it has something to do with. It's a little more serious, but so when they're trying to figure out who the second Kira is, both L and Light both think it's a he. They think it's a him, and this is kind of an odd thing that's never really kind of touched up on, and never really like go in depth as to how this kind of like misled them a little bit, because it obviously could have been a woman, but in their mind, it wasn't a possibility there. And it's kind of one of those odd touches in the show where it kind of shows, like, I wouldn't say sexism, but a form of kind of stereotyping where it kind of led them astray. And it never gets brought up. Never like, oh my god, I should have figured, or, why didn't I think it could have been a woman?
Yeah, and I mean, L does, like nobody makes a big deal about it when it is a woman. And L, like, doesn't ever not consider Misa simply because she's a woman. So, yeah, they all say he and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily... they don't show any signs that, like, they expect it to be a guy other than saying he.
I think they were expecting a guy, and I think if there was a woman, they would be like, oh, okay, well, I guess we should have been searching for a girl as well. Because I think they're definitely looking for a man.
I agree. I think they were specifically looking for a male as well.
And,
fair enough. There's really no evidence one way or the other than them saying he.
Also, I think they would have brought up the whole kind of... it could be a translation thing as well. I don't know how Japanese works exactly. But to me, it was just kind of like a sign of, them failing. Also, they didn't catch Misa, not for a while.
She was the first one they caught.
How? Wait.
Her DNA and hair follicles were under the tape that sealed the envelope that she mailed to the TV station.
You are completely right. I retract that statement.
So another thing that I thought was interesting was Light. Was Light voiced by somebody different in the first episode?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I don't remember hearing any voice change.
I challenge you to watch the first episode again. I don't think it's Light. I meant L. I don't know if I said Light or L.
Oh, you said Light.
Okay, I meant L. I think L was voiced by somebody different in the first episode.
It's a possibility. I mean, they may have actually come accustomed to the role, because anime usually goes sequentially when they record it. It's not like a film where they kind of do it out of order. So you often find a lot of anime roles that people will kind of have this one voice when they start out, and then it kind of changes over time. Or there might be a character who they need the voice at the beginning, and then that character doesn't record their lines for a while because they do episode by episode by episode, and they get the role eventually. So that might be the case. I don't know if it's different. It might be a different voice actor, to be honest, but I don't. That could be other case as well. Like, just getting the bearings.
There's another part where, right after Light's dad has a heart attack. Great symbolism. We'll gloss over that for now. Light is outside talking to L, and he's like, "What's it gonna take for you to say that I'm not Kira?" And he's like, "Put yourself in my position. How do you think it feels to be accused of being Kira?" And then L thinks for like 3 seconds, and he's like, "It was one of the worst feelings ever."
Well,
like he just imagined it, like in his mind, like in those couple seconds, and he's like, "Wow, that does feel pretty terrible."
No, see, I think you're missing the joke completely. That's not the joke there. The joke there is that what Light actually says is, what?
No, he says, "Put yourself in my position, not my shoes."
Oh. I thought he said, "Put yourself in my shoes."
No, I rewatched it because you and I talked about it, and you brought that up, that like he doesn't ever wear shoes, so that would have been like a completely another joke on top of that.
That may have been a translation thing then, because I'm pretty sure that's like the main joke there, is that he's saying, "Put yourself in my shoes," and he says, "Oh, it was the worst thing ever," because he had to wear shoes to go to the inauguration thing.
When I rewatched it, I noticed that he said position, not shoes, and I was like, "Oh, that ruins the joke."
It does ruin it, because I don't like really understand the joke. Besides that, like, besides it just being obviously what you're saying, like him just like thinking about it and being like, "Oh, it's the worst thing ever." But also, the other thing though is that he is also mentioning the fact that when they were having coffee together, Light says to L, like, "Oh, how do I know it's not you?" And so he could be referring to that time as well, like saying, like jokingly being like, "Oh, it's horrible."
I think the joke, I mean, what's in my mind is when people ask you rhetorical questions like, imagine walking mile shoes. You never be like, "Oh man, that's terrible. Oh my god, I never thought about that." You're always just kind of like, okay. Okay, I'll talk to you later. You're never like, "Oh my god."
And not only that, but like the statement he makes is it's the worst feeling ever, but he just says it like so nonchalantly.
There's multiple jokes happening in that one part. You can never forget the funniest part of the whole show.
We're saving that as a teaser for the
I'm
end.
not talking about that one. I'm talking about a different one.
Okay, go.
When Misa says she could never imagine a world without light. And Elle says, "That would be dark."
Yeah. I didn't catch that till my second watch through.
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh my god!" I almost like stopped watching the episode because like
it's the punniest thing that ever happens.
And it's a very like kind of like L thing to say as well.
Would be dark.
So when the chief breaks into Sakurai Studios and takes the tapes, and Kira's outside with the eyes, they to get him out of that situation, they have this elaborate, huge line of police and vans and blankets and shields. They could have just brought him a helmet.
Seriously. Yeah, I don't know why they do all that, but they have like the police be like a reflective barrier with like lights.
Well, the reason they do it is to be symbolic of the chief being controlled, of the like chief of police now being on the side of L, and that the police are firmly against Kira.
Yeah,
like, it's
I agree.
symbolic, but like logically, like L could have been like, "Bring him a helmet," and it would have saved the whole. Like, why'd they have to do this ridiculous?
It's got to be because they're trying to send a message saying like the police are standing against you.
It's hilarious. Yeah,
oh, it is.
It was,
it's
but
completely outlandish, but it
so
sounds
hilarious. And then when Kira has Light make the message to respond to fake Kira, Light puts in it, "You're free to kill L." And El's like, I think we should omit this part about them being free to kill me because otherwise I might end up dead.
And he's like, oh yeah, I was just trying to play the part.
Light
yeah,
laughs.
okay.
He's like, yeah, I was just playing the part. Like, Light tries to sneak it in to actually kill him. That part was really funny too. So in episode 19, Matsuda, L explains that he's actually the top 3 detectives in the world. And he sarcastically says, I'll give you this strawberry if you keep it a secret. And then Mochi goes, ooh, and he takes it and puts it in his pocket.
You're right.
That I kept expecting through the rest of the show. I'm always like, when's he going to eat that strawberry? Like,
Off screen.
like I didn't catch it till like the 3rd time I watched it. I'm like, that's like the funniest joke in the whole show.
Well, besides the one.
Is it ever, just a little side tangent, is it ever made clear that the other 2 detectives are also L? Is that point made?
Yeah, El says it himself.
Yeah,
he says, I am Coil, I am...
He said there have been other situations where people have tried to find the second best detective or the third best detective to find and kill me. So I just found it easier to be all of them.
Right. Okay.
I'm, of course, paraphrasing it awfully.
Yeah.
Like, he said it much more concisely, but...
That's kind of funny in itself. I mean, it's also pretty genius, yeah.
Absolutely. So when same episode, Matsuda falls in to the conference room, and then in order to save him, they have to like have that big reception with all the girls and stuff. So all the business guys walk in, and all the girls are there in like skimpy outfits with like heart cutouts on their chest out of their outfits and everything. And like all the business guys go, this is really odd. And then one of them literally says, yeah, well, let's just go with it. I always thought that was weird. And then they all walk out, like they're all trying to escape, and they're all wearing like bunny slippers.
I would be one of those guys. Like, I have to admit,
I imagined actually when he goes, let's just go with it. I imagine that as being you.
Yeah.
That was such a Pepin thing to say. He's like, these are really hot girls, and let's just go with it.
Yeah, I'm a whore for some reason. I don't ask.
Or just after that, when they think Matsuda dies, and Misa's just like, oh, you guys should just leave. Like, we'll take care of it. It's fine. And they're like, okay.
They're like, yeah, we should probably go.
We should just leave.
Then they shuffle out in their footy.
All the girls in skimpy clothes are gonna go figure it out.
So, is it just me, or was Higuchi arrested by Daft Punk?
I mean, they had similar helmets.
I love their helmets.
But I think it was not actually Daft Punk.
I think it was actually...
That's an excellent point, Nick.
There's a part where Aizawa and Mogi go to Misa and Light's apartment.
Yep.
And
check for bombs.
Exactly. And Misa... No, well, Aizawa says, I'll stay here with you to protect you. And then Misa's like, what? You're keeping what's
Mogi?
the phrasing?
Oh, yeah, Monchichi, I think is what she calls him.
Instead of Monchi?
Yeah.
Monchichi is the Japanese version of trolls, and they're like they're like little creatures with afros. So she's like, you're not Monchichi without your hair.
You're not
so
cute.
Like she's making like a pop culture reference in that. That's actually pretty funny if you know what she's talking about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
I mean, it kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball Z a little bit, because they have like all these food references to everything. I mean, Freezer obviously is Freezer. Piccolo is like the instrument. Well, no.
You said food. I'm talking food. Pickles.
Like the
He's
food,
green.
like the food, the piccolo that you play.
Yeah, it's good.
But is a piccolo an instrument?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little flute.
And there's also, Goku is Japanese or something.
Potato.
Is it potato?
I have no idea.
It's something like that. But there's all these like different fruit names in there, and it's Pan obviously it's pan, like bread. and
You know, like Brit.
yeah, it's Spanish, man. Spanish.
Are Weddy and Ivor boning?
I don't think that they are. I think that Ivor actually has like a family and like a kid and stuff. So
Okay, so being unfaithful it doesn't exist?
that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, I mean, judging by his personality, I don't think he would be anyways. Just because he's a con man doesn't mean that he's going to be unfaithful.
He's a professional con man.
It
Like,
doesn't-
what do you know about his personality other than that? He doesn't like guns?
He's clearly
Weddy,
has some sort of righteousness. I mean, he's helping out in an investigation.
they in no way imply that Weddy and Ivor know each other before this they get together here. And then all of a sudden Weddy knows and they never really work together. But then all of a sudden Weddy knows these details about him, like Ivor doesn't like guns and like stuff like that. Like, I think they're boning. I
I
think
don't
they're getting
think
it.
that that's exactly what you talk about while you're having sex.
I
You're
think
just like,
they
I don't
get-
like guns.
And she's like, well, I do. And then they touch.
I don't think so.
Well, you could imagine they would have a conversation. They would just like
Yeah.
go right to boning. But they have some long conversations. Like, hey, you like this? Oh, you don't like that. You like this, baby?
Yeah, that shows that they're not compatible.
I don't know. I think that they touch.
I don't think they touch.
So something I wanted to bring up real quick is in the warehouse, all of the lighting in that warehouse is low lighting, meaning it's coming from below. And that makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
If you watch the scene, like all of the lighting is coming up at the characters, and in the context of a warehouse, that there's no way that that's possible.
I didn't even see any lights in the warehouse anyways. I thought it was all natural lighting through like vents and fans and stuff like that and inside the set.
Just to be clear, what warehouse we're talking about? The one at the end?
The final one, yeah, the
yellow
final
box.
scene, it's all underlit.
Oh yeah, I thought it was just like windows up top.
Yeah, same.
That's what it shows, but all the lighting, if you actually watch the show, like the way it's casting shadows and the way it's hitting them from below, and that just made no sense to me.
Is that like a artistic thing, or is it like a...
Oh, absolutely, and they did it for great reason. It looks amazing, but logistically it makes no sense, and I just wanted to point that out because I'm an asshole.
It is a cartoon, you know.
You're a cartoon.
I might be.
Episode 14, around 8 minutes in, Misa's like, actually, I think it's like episode 1.
Episode 1, I mean 14. No,
Maybe
it's
it was
not.
14. It's the one where Misa actually goes
Misa's
to...
not in episode 1.
I know, that's why I said maybe it is 14. It's the one where Misa goes to and meets Light for the first time at his house.
Yeah, that's like 14 or 13.
Well, I have it written down here on my notes as 14.
Yeah, it looks like it says
at around
1 through
8
14.
at around 8 minutes, Misa says, "If you see any other girls, I'll kill them." And then Ryuk's like laying on the bed in like a sexy pose, and he's like, "Scary." And like that part's actually hilarious to me.
Misa was trying to get laid there, right? She's kind of like, I'll do anything for you.
I don't think necessarily that. Like later in the show, it's extremely clear that's what she wants. She comes into like a room full of like the detectives and everything, and like literally nothing, just about. But specifically, then no, I think she's just going for love at that point. She's just saying, "I'll do anything for your love," not necessarily sex.
I feel like here's, I don't know, maybe this is just me. I haven't seen this in a while.
I
So
think you're projecting.
yeah, I probably am.
Subdom.
But to me, it sounded like she was trying to like gain favor with him because she knew he was carer right then, right?
Yeah.
And so I think she was like trying to like seduce him in a way, trying to say, like, oh, you should definitely value me because I'll give you sex. I'll give you, she wanted to give him something, and she kind of felt he was a god. So like, what else can she do for him? Besides like help him out with.
Well, she is the Shinigami.
Yeah,
eyes.
she said, "I will be your eyes," like
Yeah.
literally.
No, I think there were definitely sexual undertones there.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But I think that kind of comes with Misa's character because everything and everyone falls in love with her.
Yeah.
And it's kind of implied like she's like the Aphrodite, the most beautiful creature in the world. Like even gods of death fall in love with her and will kill themselves for her. Like,
That's actually a pretty beautiful plot as well.
what a beautiful way
Jealous?
to kill.
How about then the fact that his name is Jealous?
Yeah, that's a little obvious, but
It was extremely obvious. Let's be real.
I wonder if that was like the name in Japanese or if it was a translation. Because it'd be kind of cool if it was like a foreign word. That'd be kind of cool. But if it's just using the English word translation, that's kind of dumb.
How come when Light first suggests to Elle, when they step out of the hospital after Light's dad has the heart attack, he's like, "What'll it take? What if you lock me up in jail and blah 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 blah." And Elle says, "That's ridiculous. I can't restrict someone's basic rights. Plus, it's crazy to take a suggestion from a suspect." But then he does that anyway. Like a couple months or whatever later, he takes it Light's suggestion, restricts his basic rights, and locks him up.
I think it's because at the point when he does lock him up, they're at a completely different point in their investigation. Like they have Misa, they know it's Misa, and the suspicion of it being Light is so much greater than it was in that moment that he's like, I might as well take this opportunity then if he's seriously going to give me it. Like at that time that you're describing, he was still only like a 3 or 7% chance of being Kira in Elle's eyes, but at the time that he actually does it, he's almost 100% positive that Light is Kira, if he's not 100% positive that Light is Kira. So he just thinks that it would be a good idea as well.
Then his point is even more moot because he says it's crazy to take a suggestion from somebody who's a suspect.
Oh, he knows that too.
So if he's even more of a suspect now, then why would he take his suggestion? It completely contradicts what he said earlier.
Yeah, but he goes through that in his own head in the show as well. He's saying that to himself. He's like, he was saying what he would expect Light to do in that situation because he knows that he's Kira. He's like, oh, well, I thought that the killings would just be done and it wouldn't start again. But then it does start again, and that's when he gets really confused.
Now, just to make a point, he has that thing about, like, percentages, right? Like, it's like 70%. I mean, that's a pretty interesting quirk. I mean, also kind of shows he's very aware of his own kind of, his own reasoning skills, his own confidence. He's very self-aware.
Yeah, I don't think he ever gets anywhere near 70%.
He goes like straight from like 10% to like 100.
But like something really important to remember about the percentages is even 1%.
There's some suspicion.
No, like well, yeah, but like well beyond that. How many people are there in the world? How many? Okay, he narrows it down to the Kanto region. How many people are there in the Kanto region?
He narrows it down more. He narrows it down to the people that the FBI were investigating. So.
Right, but when he's first giving percentages, he's just in the Kanto region.
No. Not to specific people, he's not giving percentages. He's just giving it to, like, groups of people. Like, it's probably a student and such like that. Like, he doesn't specifically give Light a percentage until they are suspecting him and are going to put cameras in the house and stuff like that. And that's when he's asked what would be the percentage, and he says, like, 1% or something like that.
But it could... Okay, so he has a suspicion that it's one of those people.
Yeah, and it's already narrowed down to just 2 people at that point.
So he has a suspicion that it's one of those people within those 2 families. But that does not mean that it's definitely one of those 2 people.
No, but that's the only people he had a suspicion for at the time.
Right, so they're at a higher percentage. What I'm saying is there's so many people that a 1% is actually huge.
So it's statistical kind of thing. So it's like, imagine we have like, say, 1 million people, right? 1% of a million is, what is it, like 100,000? No, that's too like, it's 10,000, right? So if you can eliminate 1% of people, that's 10,000 people you don't have to check out.
Right, exactly. So he's saying this is one.
Now you only have 990,000 people to check out.
It's still a lot less, you know.
But exactly. So what I'm saying is, like, when he says it's 5%, like, to go from 1% to 5% seems like, oh wow, it's only 5%. Like, he's not really sure at all. No, that's him being like, this is such a strong suspicion that I'm willing to rule out 50,000 people. Or it's actually based off of the total, like, the amount of people in the Kanto region is probably way smaller, meaning that it's way more significant.
Maybe.
Yeah. I would definitely agree. Like, his use of calculation is not, like, taken lightly. It's not like me just kind of making up a percentage is far different than him kind of thinking it through, because he's actually, thinking about the whole Kanto region, the whole of Japan. Could he be another continent? He's thinking about all these different factors, and he's packing it into the percentages. He's not just like thinking, it feels like maybe 5-10%. I don't know.
I don't know. He might be doing that. He might
It's
be
very
like,
possible.
It feels like 7.
He wasn't
maybe.
crouching when he said it, so his deductive reasoning was diminished significantly.
By, I think, 60%?
I don't know.
It's something like that. It's another percentage.
Yeah.
Was Ryuk really addicted to apples, or was he being dramatic?
He's being dramatic.
I have no idea. I feel like he really liked them.
Because, he obviously really liked him, but, like, he's like, I even get withdrawals. I do handstands and my body gets all contorted.
It's not pretty.
It's not pretty. And he's like, I don't need to know. I don't need to hear that. And he's like, I know.
When he started doing handstands and stuff, I'm like,
He's like,
that's not even like a withdrawal symptom. Like, withdrawal symptoms include handstanding and twisting your body.
That's my favorite part when it goes and like the screen like shakes and zooms in and he's like, oh, it's happening.
It's so dramatic.
And he like flips up onto his hands.
Why is that such a bad thing?
It's
Why
so
is being
funny.
upside down so horrible? Like,
And
why can't he
twisted.
deal with that?
And twisted. And he does it. He even does it when lights locked up, though, and that's the part that gets me. Is he does it when lights locked up, and there's no way that light can give him apples. So why is he being overly dramatic in that situation? That's what makes me think maybe it really is a withdrawal.
I think it's really a withdrawal.
Probably.
I mean, he doesn't get to see these apples very often, so he's not used to like the, he's not normally used to the effects anyway. And having withdrawals kind of makes sense.
Why doesn't he
I
just
would
go out
say
and get some?
I would say it's a mental addiction, not a physical one, though.
Addiction's addiction.
Yeah.
And it's obviously
habitual.
it's obviously a physical one if he starts doing
No,
handstands.
because I mean, mental health is almost equally as important as physical health, anyways, if not more important. So I mean, your brain can make you feel ways, anyways, even if it is overdramatic and you just don't realize it. Like,
So you're saying a mental addiction can cause physical side effects?
oh, easily, yeah, that's definite. That's a definite.
Now, two little quirks. Well, rather, three little quirks that are all
Is that a song?
4 or 5.
3 little quirks are we?
is, L has this whole sugar thing. Like, he just adds sugar to his coffee and tea to an extreme extent.
Like a disgusting amount. Like 6 to 8 sugar cubes
It's like
into one cup of tea.
majority sugar and some drops of coffee.
And then Mellows is like the, chocolate bar. And then...
Where he always dramatically like bites and snap. And it always like, and then he has like the half smile and he stares at the camera and he's
Yeah.
like, snap.
I feel like he only goes through so many chocolate bars just for that shot, right?
Just for that one shot. He always has to open a fresh one because he has to have that one shot.
I think it's only in the manga, I'm not sure, but there is something that they mentioned that part of the reason why they get the Mafia and like Mello's team and stuff get found out where they are is because they have a shipment of only chocolate bars go to the base. And whoever's like investigating them, keeping an eye, like tells Nier and is like, so they just got like chocolate bars, and Nier's like, well, it's pretty obvious who that is.
Why are they bringing 5,000 chocolate bars out to the desert?
Literally.
And what is Nier? It's just like playing with
Toys,
toys
yeah.
and
He's
and
clearly
building.
autistic.
Yeah.
Like super autistic. Like with the dice, the building things and having
OCD.
everything be like super coordinated. That's like a huge sign of being autistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's supposed to be like, how old? Like, definitely in his late teens, I'm pretty
7?
sure.
I think he's way younger than his late teens.
Really?
I thought he was like
I thought he
7.
was similar to Mello.
No, he's significantly younger than
Oh.
Mello.
That's
I just thought he physically looked younger because he looks shorter because he's always bent over, and also, like, he's definitely older than like 7 because like
I think he's older than 7.
when they first see him, he's like clearly like young, like probably 6 or 7, but then it's like he looks way different. Like when you see him when he's in the SPK and stuff, like he's way older.
I'm pretty sure 5 years pass from when you
Yeah.
first see them in the orphanage to when the show ends.
Yeah. Also, I think one of the big contentions between Mello and N was that Mello thought he should have gotten the role of L because he had been there longer and he is older and more mature. and they gave it to N, who is this kind of little kid, you know. This...
Well, they gave it to both of them, but Mello didn't want to be on a team with N, so he left.
That's right. But yeah, that's kind of a cliche or stereotypical kind of storyline where, you know, the older person doesn't quite get what he wants. He doesn't feel like he got the total bargain he was looking for.
Yeah, and Mello says, I'm almost 15 years old. Yeah. It's time I start living my own life.
And leaves.
And then leaves the
joins the mafia.
And joins the mob.
Wow. What a leap.
And does fairly well in the mob, to be fair.
I mean, to be fair, they even say in the show, like, he's been with us for over a year and he's never been wrong about anything.
Year and a half, yeah, absolutely.
And he's never been wrong about anything.
Yeah, Mello's kind of weird because he's like, he doesn't seem like he'd be that smart, but he's like very smart.
He's just extremely like active and hands-on, and usually that's not something that we would consider like to be directly linked to like intelligence as being active and proactive, but for him it definitely is. He's able to think and move at the same time.
He's all attack, and Near is all defense.
Yeah, so they're a perfect team in reality.
Now we've been teasing this a little bit, and it's time. It's time for us to crunch in to this topic. Are you ready?
I'm prepared.
I'm physically capable of talking about this now.
Okay. Your body's prepared.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to do this scene justice, so I want Steve, in his pastoral voice, to give the description of the scene.
Episode 8, Glare. There's a super dramatic montage about Light killing people while L is watching him through security cameras. And in it, Light says, I'll solve equations with my right hand and write names with my left. I'll take a potato chip and eat it. And it's just so over the top.
He like takes some bites of
the crunch is the best part.
Crunch and like throws his head to the side. Like
I think that'd be really obvious watching it. Like, what is wrong with this kid? Like, he's psychotic.
And then he's like, I think I'm finally getting this.
Yeah, he like plays it off.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going for some comedy there, but oh my god, the way it was shot, the music is like. I gotta feel like they're poking fun at themselves for making everything dramatic.
They have to be. And then on top of that, that's like how that episode ends. The next episode starts with that same montage.
Yeah, it replays it, so you remember.
And it also starts with him looking at the porno magazines, the Japanese porn magazines, which are like swimsuit editions. And so it shows that. It shows him looking at it actually shows a close-up of a girl in a swimsuit bottom, crotch, and then a tit shot, and then it goes to the epic monologue with him about the potato chip, and I cut that it's like a 10-second clip, and I took a video of it, and I sent it to a couple people, and I asked them, just based off of this clip, what is this show about? And I actually sent one to my mom, and she's like, a high school kid who's really smart? Is that what it's about? And I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Essentially.
Pretty accurate.
And then I sent another one to my sister, and she said something actually very similar, and I think I had actually mentioned to her at one point that what the show was about. So I don't know if that was exactly fair.
I told her the plot and asked her what the plot was, and she knew it. It was kind of weird.
It was fucking creepy, man. And then I sent one to a college buddy of ours, Nick Stewart, and he's like, first he said, some pervy detective, and I'm like, not quite. And then he's like, okay, let me watch it. He's like, okay, I've watched it 7 times now. Which to me, that in itself made me laugh. And then he's like, okay, so a perverted stalker is also a detective, and he's a super genius, and I don't fucking know, he's eating potato chips. And I'm like, you know what? That's pretty much the synopsis of this show.
That's it.
Maybe the pervy detective was Nick.
Oh, wow, no.
Not you, Nick.
Oh,
Not me, Nick?
yeah.
Nick Stewart.
Oh, that changes everything.
Because he wasn't... Never mind.
That was horrible. Edit that out.
Now you can edit it out because that makes it funny again. No, this episode was a lot of fun. The show itself, awesome. I highly suggest you watch it yet again. On top of that, even if you just watched that one episode, episode 8, Glare, just watch episode 9. Just watch the first, like, after the intro, which is like a minute long. Watch like that first scene. It's worth your time. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Also, watch the show in general. I don't know why you'd be listening to this if you haven't listened to it, but...
I don't think they need to anymore. I think they pretty much got every spoiler ever.
Well, we've given you every spoiler ever.
Well, they're gonna be like...
Oh, it'd still be worth watching, probably.
What the fuck is up with this kid who eats chocolate bars?
It's like, why did they get a shipment of chocolate bars?
And his name's Marshmallow? Like, is he a graham cracker? Is he a fucking s'more?
No, he's a peep.
suicide.
He does burn
and his
up in a
peeps.
fire in the end.
He and
So
his peeps.
his name's Mellow. All he eats is chocolate, and he burns in a fire. He's a fucking s'more.
And he's not very mellow. He's quite active.
He has a s'more.
Oh my god.
I mean, they go.
His name's Mellow. They end up in the yellow box. Mellow Yellow. This is an advertisement for
Mellow,
fucking-
yellow.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up like a candy bar.
Okay, let's get out.
Well, this has been We Need to Talk. We're gonna definitely get to talk about this more. Probably another day, but it will be excellent. It will be good. It will be
Excellent.
like mellow
Dying.
yellow.
This is not okay. You're too tired.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap up today. This has been a great talk, and we're gonna...
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so this has been We Need to Talk. No.
You really need to keep all of these attempts at an outro in here.
Yeah, man.
We need to talk.
Okay, so this is 3 people here talking Death Note in a room. And next time on We Need to Talk, it may not be this, but it probably will. You'll find out next time. On
Oh, wait, did he talk?
Like the show, well, give us a like on Facebook. Also, we're at Twitter at WNTT1, and if you love us, look us up on Patreon. Donate to us, and that would be very, very lovely. And, give us suggestions, ratings, whatever you want. And until next time,